So now 1, 2, 3 on that. Ready? 1, 2, 3. So you ready? Clap test. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right.
Welcome
back. Yep. Welcome back to the From Roses to Apples podcast, baby. You got
Another edition, another day, another
what
hope for a
words
dollar.
do you have for this, Wells?
I'm saying, what'd you say?
What other words do you have for this?
I have the word impeccable. I have the word prestigious. I have the other word of super.
But yeah, we back, baby.
Yeah.
So what's up, Wells? How's this been since the last episode? We want to appreciate everyone too. We want to say thank you to everyone who appreciated our first episode. First of all,
Yeah.
You know
I
what
say
I'm
we
saying?
cover a couple of the basics. 1, headphones. Check.
Oh shit, we got headphones now.
Check.
Just so y'all know, we did not have headphones on the last podcast on purpose. We just couldn't figure the shit out.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you that right now. We could not figure that shit out.
Yeah, there was no intent to that. We tried as hard as we could to get ourselves heard. During the last podcast, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't able to hear 50 or 55% of what was said.
I'm pretty sure we were replying to the wrong things the whole podcast.
That's fine, but let's also talk about our little elephant in the room.
Oh
We don't
yeah,
have
there's definitely an elephant.
we are in search of a new producer,
Okay.
and I think you and I, Ritz, have someone in mind.
Yeah, we definitely do.
But our old producer decided to go back home to Oregon
To
'cause
do
he
what's
was
right
from,
for him.
He was from the Rose City, so he decided to go back home to make some money because he realized, New York City, you got to have a whole different kind of savings and a whole different kind of hustle. Just doing this when it's not making money is probably not the only thing you can do.
If I didn't have a full-time job, I would not be able to support
Same.
myself doing this right
Same.
now. And
Same.
you know what I'm saying? So we completely understand.
Yeah.
Shout out to Drake. You know what I'm saying? He will be on a future episode 1,000%.
And probably as a guest, or actually probably as a friend. So we decided recently what we were going to do with this when it came to guests, when it came to our friends. We're going to differentiate the two.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have a section for friends and section for guests.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
People that we don't know, it's going to be labeled in the video as a guest. And the people that are close to us, you're going to know they're our friends. So we're going to hear their stories maybe over again. Maybe for the first time for Ritz, first time for me, stuff like that.
And that's just for the simple fact of us like getting to the point where you could see, because when there's an interview podcast, it's gonna be more interview based. When we know the person, it's gonna be harder for it to be interview based. You get what I'm saying? Because we're gonna be saying shit like that we already know.
I'm not trying to fake
You know what I'm
anything.
saying? Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. And so if our friends are on the podcast and we're trying to interview them the way that we interview someone that we don't know or that I don't know or you don't, it'd be the most ridiculous shit ever.
That's a
A
fact.
little awkward.
Yeah, that's a
So
fact.
we'll specify that. We'll make it as clear as possible.
But I think we have a topic for today. For this second episode,
Yeah.
we definitely have a topic, and it's
Yeah, of
going
course.
to be maybe a little sad one.
Yeah.
A little bit sad.
Depending how you take it.
You know what I'm saying? But the topic for today will be depression. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're going to compare and contrast the West and the East of depression. So what I felt in Oregon and what he felt out here when it came to support, when it came to
And
the acceptance.
one thing that my girlfriend, actually shout out to my girlfriend, she put me on to that we didn't do in the last podcast is say for a fact this is our perspective of East Coast to West Coast. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, it's
This
not
might
sensitive.
not go for everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I
But-
fully agree. And so I think we should open up with that question of like, do you think depression's real? I think to start at baseline.
I
know
think
this is a
depression is
huge
very real.
Right.
From one but I will say I didn't always feel like that.
Yeah, so that was my next one. Did you always? Okay.
I didn't always feel like that. There was a point in my life where I felt like depression was pussy. You know what I'm saying? And it was just not it wasn't real. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like I know there was times when I had my downs and my ups, but I just didn't understand what depression exactly was.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Do you think? Okay, so remember like sad boys, remember like water boys, like all that the sad shit. Like, did you ever face that societal norm of depression being kind of like normal?
I actually don't know what sad boys or water
Okay.
boys is.
So okay,
To be
let
honest.
me fill. I guess to fill in my side, from our side, we had this like big trend, especially in high school, of sad boys, the water boys, like um, Chris Travis, just like this whole section of depression, and it became a little bit like popular. So depression, where I came from, is a little bit more like if you have it, you're in with a crowd, and that sucks. And it's the same with like
Well, wait, what do you mean by you're in with a crowd? Like you're with the popular kids or some shit?
I guess not necessarily. It's more like on a social side. So like, if you have depression, you're able to relate to people. No, no, no. So there's a lot of people who lead their life as depressed people, as sad people, or as sad boys. Nah, nah. And that's valid. And
So like being
sure,
sad boys or something where you from is like a thing. It's like a almost a thing. Like
yeah, I'm not an expert in it because I didn't necessarily dabble in sad boys. This is something I picked up on because like with depression, that was something I never necessarily recognized either. So seeing the trend, I was like, oh, okay, like it helped me, and I'm not trashing it because it definitely helped me realize like, oh shit, maybe there's something going on.
yeah.
But it wasn't a coin, unless there was an aesthetic to it. It wasn't something that I like repped unless it was on like Tumblr or something
Yeah.
so fucking silly
Yeah.
like that. Where it wasn't my face. But when it was my face, obviously it was like, no, 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 happy, happy, happy.
Mm.
But depression, I think it comes up, it sneaks up. Like,
Depression out here, I feel like is more circumstantial. If
it
that
does,
makes
it does.
sense.
No, that goes home for me, and I'm gonna tell you why only because my circumstances did not necessarily make me depressed in the same way.
Okay. But
I,
like with me saying that, it's because I feel like right now you're putting depression in the whole. Like everyone where you're from that was depressed almost had the same vibe and the same kind of like the same motive.
there's only so depressed you can get with constant grass and very beautiful buildings around you. So you saying that is, and me saying that, I'm only speaking from the point of view is like when you talk about gentrification, that's what we grew up with. So being depressed and sad in that state and in that place is different because you're facing like psychological shit, whereas you're facing actual like going outside and maybe your bodega just closed down. Or like I don't know, dude. New York has such a different grit.
All
So
right.
do you know?
Just so everyone knows on the podcast, I was not depressed when the bodega closed down. I just want that to be very clear.
I'm not. I'm saying the vision, like seeing it. I'm not saying you actually emotionally goddamn involved with the bodega closing
So,
down. I'm saying this is talked about. This is not my words.
yeah.
This is a conversation that's had. If you go outside and you see shit that's just trashed, if you see torn down poster
See, where,
boards,
where, where, like when I was a kid and when I was growing up, I would say I was depressed almost that whole time.
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And
But
what did you see?
I didn't know I was depressed.
But what did you see?
I seen a lot of bad shit. You know what I'm saying? Like drugs and all that. But I seen a lot of good shit too. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I'm talking about buildings alone because that's all I can relate to. I didn't see the drugs. I didn't see any of that.
Drugs, violence. I seen a whole bunch of shit growing up, which made my mindset the way it was.
But I'm asking you specifically about the buildings. And
The
this is
building.
what I'm talking about. This is like my only
I mean,
point
yeah. I
here.
mean, I seen buildings all around me. I'm from New
No,
York.
exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
saying you had this post-war kind of like setting. You had these old buildings. You had these radiators and
Yo,
everything. You
is
had the
that what
projects. You had the
like
Section
the
9.
West
We
Coast
don't have it like that.
looks
I'm
at?
saying.
That they look at it as like wartime buildings and shit.
Well, you know how like that trend of like post-war and pre-war buildings is set up.
Mhm.
So New York has that
I'm a
Lower
history
East
buff,
Side.
y'all. I'm a history buff. I know exactly what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
So Lower East
Yeah.
Side is like pre-war and shit like that. So it's just like, r- like growing up in areas. I'm telling you, you grew up in a different visual setting than I did.
Oh, of course. Of
So
course.
the depression comes different. Whereas like the only reason I was sad wasn't because I was faced with anything outside. It was obviously because of like my interior.
Okay.
So you are more likely, and I noticed this, in the East Coast is more likely to be affected by what's going on around, like outside. Whereas I was in the safest neighborhood in Oregon, or like no.
I was about to say, I feel like it has to do with the dangers of where we both
Yes,
grew up at.
yes. So I'm not trying to claim that my depression comes from the lack of money, the lack of resources, the lack of care from the environment that I'm in, government wise. I'm talking about purely psychological, and that's where we differentiate. I think is like you had to face the trauma of seeing people getting either beat up or fucking killed. I'm not trying to speak for
So,
you.
all right. So, like, before we get in further about the topic of
Do you know what I'm
depression,
saying before?
I get what
Okay.
you're saying, and that's why I'm about to continue off this. So, you like where you grew up at in the West Coast. Not saying that West Coast don't have bad parts, but where you
Yes. Where I grew up,
specifically grew
just
up
me.
at, you know what I'm saying? You never really see no one get beat up.
Nope.
That's that's crazy to me,
I ain't seen
honestly.
no one get beat up. I ain't seen no one get threatened with a gun. I've never been threatened with a gun myself. I've never been uh, like beat up myself. I've gotten in one fight, and it was with a kid that I should have gotten hit by.
Is
Um,
that the thing you explained last time with the football game?
no, that didn't lead to a fight. So what we were talking about, the football game, I was at like an away football game. A guy was bullying my friend, and I went up to him and told him I'd break his nose if he kept doing it, and he just played bitch, like he didn't do nothing.
Okay.
So the actual fight that I got into, um, so this is a funny ass story that leads into the modeling, and it's not funny because I was in the wrong, and it wasn't a fight. I just got fucking hit, and I deserved it. So, this guy goes to jail that we know, and I thought that him and his girl broke up. They had not, I guess. Um, I only did what she
Try to
told me
take
to.
someone's girl, Wells.
I only did. No, I only did what she told me to. Okay. Please tell me this. I take it back. I take it back.
No, you try to take someone. Fuck that. Fuck him. Yo, whoever you
no,
are.
no. No, I actually respect the fuck out of this guy, and like I feel wrong on it, and like I really would have hit me too. So yeah, I'm sitting at the smoke spot that I'm sitting at, and I hear a car pull up, and I look in my rearview mirror. I know it's him. He's walking up. I roll my window down, and he pops me a couple times in the face. Tells me to get the car. I said no. Maybe because I was wearing Birkenstocks. 50% that I was wearing sandals. Another 50% because he would have beat the fucking shit out of me. It depends who I'm telling the story that I express that side to.
Well, you're telling everyone at this point. Well.
Yeah, fact. But then the day after, I flew to New York to shoot a campaign for Coach.
Okay.
Like with my face all fucked
Were
up.
you already in the modeling scene at that point, or
At that scene, I'd already been in the modeling scene. I'd been scouted. I'd walked a show for Raph Simmons. So I was already established. Everyone was like on my fucking dick, especially back home where they didn't necessarily treat it like. The only thing that gave me credit was me doing anything modeling. So as soon as I did Raph, everyone was like, hold on, step on my Raph Simmons. I was like, you better step
yo?
fucking dick.
Side note. I'm sorry. But side note. How did people react when they realized you were a model in your hometown and you were in all these fucking magazines and I'm guessing by saying magazines, but you were in all this shit because I know I've seen a
The
couple
only
of clips
thing,
you was in. That's
the
major,
only
bro.
thing before I graduated high school that I had done was Raph Simmons my junior year, and then in May of my senior year I shot Coach right after I got punched by that kid.
Mhm.
Okay, So I'm showing up. They fucking put makeup on my eye from getting hit and all that stuff. Like they cover the bruise. A week later, I go and shoot Givenchy because the photographer who shot me for Coach was on my, just like was really like, yo, you can do this. His name was Steven Mizell, and if anyone were to look him up, he just recently joined Instagram. They'd be like, "Oh damn, he's real. Like he's good. Like he's someone that you should follow." He told me to move to New York.
Oh,
He
for
is
real?
the reason I moved to New York.
Seriously?
Yeah, he flew
I'm
me. Out.
glad you did, bro.
Yeah, seriously, it like made all this happen. But yeah, I flew out the next week for Givenchy, and it was just like such a crazy trip because no one knew about those because I couldn't talk about them until it came out. And then
Yeah.
I moved. I didn't do graduation. I went and I walked a show. Get this. I walked a show in Florence, Italy, while my class was walking their goddamn graduation. I walked
That's
the
fucking
show
fire.
for Gavalli. It was the coolest outfit I ever wore in my life,
Yo,
bro.
yo,
All
as,
watches.
as a teenager, how did that make you feel almost? Like,
It felt like I finally had something I could tell people they'd be impressed by. To say it
that's what
simply.
I'm saying, because I remember when I was that age, I was that age,
There
and
was
I was in
nothing.
military school.
There was nothing I had to say impressive. Nothing.
No, me either. I was a fucking
That's what I'm
shithead
saying.
from New York.
No, I'm
Like,
saying I was a church boy. Like, maybe to the right people, they'd be stoked I was a little pastor. Like,
no,
I
but
was giving sermons.
that's fucking major, bro.
But when it came to the modeling, it was all of a sudden I had this credit that I wasn't getting. And so I was like, fuck all this. Like, all the people all of a sudden who were like, I don't know, had their opinions. It was cool to all of a sudden see this desire of friendship, and I got to decide. And that was the difference, is like me getting to fucking choose who is my friend, who's going to be close, where it came from. And you could really start picking out who was there because they thought they could get something. And the reality of it, just because I model, you can't get nothing from it. I don't have the connections. My agents do. Fucking ask me again. I'll say no. If you're 5'8", don't ask me. If you're 6'2", don't ask me.
He's not the guy.
I don't have the connections. So that's what like blew my mind the most, is everyone tried to be friends because they thought they could fucking get something.
But with that being said,
But I was lucky
Wells,
enough-
I'm gonna correct you because I think you have the connections more than you think you do. Honestly.
No, I guess it was more like in that position, especially when I started, I was so much less than they thought I was. I had just started. Now it's different. Now it's different. Now I've actually done my shit.
Mm-hmm.
But before, when I was just starting from high school, all the hype I got, the don't step on my Rap Simmons, just because I did that, it gave them a qualification.
So how did that tie into depression?
I guess that
Because I
that-
think we're talking about like with
Yeah, to
depression,
bring it back.
We're talking around the same time frame, aren't we?
Yeah, to bring it back was more. I guess I'm not trying to play no victim, especially when it comes to modeling. I think to totally step that aside, the depression did not come at that time. It came before, when I felt like, you know when you're like the one that people kind of goof on.
Yeah.
I hate that shit, and I was that. And so when I got my job at Old Navy, and then when I was playing basketball, obviously I didn't have to be around it as much. But I quit basketball my junior year, and then I switched over to doing only like church stuff and working at Old Navy. And that got me into a place where, like, yes, I was alone, but I wasn't getting made fun of.
Okay.
So it was like, I'd rather take the pain of being
were you
alone.
bullied as a kid?
I'm not trying to play it like that. But, like, sure. I was goofed on.
What do you mean by made fun of? 'Cause I was made fun of too. We talked about this the last part.
I think we can both agree it was kind of valid. Like, as we grow up, like, I was goofed on for valid stuff. I keep spitting. Yo, I was definitely, like, a goof.
I'm still a goofball.
Same.
Honestly, I'm still a fucking goofball.
And we find our people in it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I kind of realized my parents are a bit square. I came from a square place. So if I don't learn against that, we ain't born with sauce. If you don't learn the sauce, you're not able to. So I had to definitely learn, but it was more just relearning. I guess just doubting what my parents were saying, blah blah blah. But all of that led me to bring it back to depression. But I don't have no path laid out.
Yeah.
It's my parents being hating ass people. I don't want to hate. I don't want to be angry.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to spit at joy that's in front of me. And so that's what's frustrating. And that's all I've been taught. So even if someone's so happy when they're like, and this is my only point when I'll bring up these like political views. I don't give a fuck if you're trans, if you're gay, if you're, identifying as queer, but only cuz it's not my fucking business. It doesn't affect me. The fact that I saw my parents get so upheaved about
For all
people.
my New York viewers, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, yo," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I'm saying at the same time, why is it your business? Let them do it, bro. You don't get affected. It doesn't come across you. I'm saying at the same time, mind your P's and Q's.
That's a fact.
And so it's like with that comes like who
Who
cares?
gives a fuck?
The only
I don't
reason
give a fuck
the
what you're
only
doing.
reason people are yelling and asking to be seen because they haven't been. Why don't we just fucking like not react? I don't know. Anyways, so it's like when I have that all combined, I'm sitting here just like obviously depressed because the world, like people not being treated well, but whatever. Like me as well being included in that story and in that line, I'm kind of like fuck it. So now when it comes to depression, my depression is healed more. And it comes to like I'm actually so grateful that I got to go through that confusion, that anger, because depression comes with anger. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm done.
I know you don't hit blunts like that. That's why I
No,
ain't pass it to you.
I appreciate
You hitting blunts right now, Wells?
Yeah, I'm a little bit. This is a joint. Anyways, okay. So I digress from all that, and I think this is a really good
I think
conversation.
it's my turn to talk about the New York style. Well, my New York style is the first.
Actually,
Because I got clarified that I don't speak for the whole New York. I don't speak for the whole New York, but this is my view of it. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Yeah, everyone get what I'm saying? All right, but
I feel like I went into a tangent.
no, but that's what we're supposed to do. This is our podcast, boss.
I
We're
didn't. I
supposed
didn't. I
to
didn't
go on
conclude.
tangents.
So after you, I'm gonna conclude what I meant when it came. Actually, no, I'm gonna conclude it right now. Fuck it. When it comes down to it, I don't care what people do. So people caring about what I did always bugged me. And so being raised by people who cared so much about what people did, obviously I had to put that on the nose and I had to change that and unlearn that. But in unlearning comes such depression, such deep levels of like, holy shit, I have nothing for myself here. I got to create it myself, like on my own. And I genuinely believe we've been left with nothing but having to grieve and having to like get over what we've been taught. And that's cool, but it's also a little bit depressed. It's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
what do you see? What do you see from the West Coast?
From the East Coast.
What do you see from the East Coast? Nah, I'm good. I'm good. You good?
Yeah, you good? Are you good? From the East Coast, what I see, personally, like when I was growing up, honestly, I didn't believe in depression.
Why?
I didn't think it was a real thing because
Why?
I felt it was soft. I felt like if you was depressed, it was like soft,
What does soft mean to you?
like you was pussy.
What does pussy mean to you?
It it means something I couldn't have been back then. You got in my mindset. There was times probably back then that certain people would have said that I was pussy or something like that,
And it
or
was
like
an
or like
insult?
yeah. I'm not even gonna say like pussy anymore. What I'm gonna say is people was gonna think that I was like scared,
Cowardly. Or whatever?
cowardly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Almost scared. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in my mindset back then, I was on some shit. I can't be that. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I have to be the toughest thing I can be. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like back then, depression wasn't it wasn't a capable emotion. You know what I'm saying? But as I got older and shit, and once I realized how depressed I actually was, I realized I was the whole time I thought depression was fake. I was depressed.
Do you think your anger it was what made you thought it was fake?
Anger and depression are two different things.
I don't think so. And I'm going to talk to you about that. I really think grief is the thing that pulls it all together. And grief makes me incredibly depressed, but so angry.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like when I was angry, I feel like anger helps you with depression though, in a certain way.
Ma- But yeah, I guess if you were to look at it in a positive and negative light, I don't know if it would sit on the
Cause that
positive side.
anger is what drives me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but I think more of the chip on your shoulder drives you to prove wrong. And at the end of the day, I don't think you've been angry towards me. And that shows me that you don't want to lead by that.
Yeah,
And that grief.
one thing about me is in the past, and I'm not even gonna say always, but in the past 5 years, I would say I've been trying to live my day less angry and more positive every day I
Yeah.
live, and I've been trying to be a good person. You know
How
what
do
I'm
you get
saying?
less angry?
Um,
By letting go of that
I don't,
grief.
I don't, I don't think you ever get less.
By
Like,
grieving. Irrit. By grieving. Hey, I'm
I,
gonna tell you something. I promise you. I promise you. The most important thing in life is grieving.
yo, I, like, especially with upbringings that I'm not gonna say bad upbringings or nothing, because everyone could say, everyone could vouch that their upbringing had a certain bad aspect to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We're not trying to be no victims right now.
But when you had a violent upbringing
Yes. It's different.
that I had, like,
Yeah.
it's it's almost like when you get when you get to the realization that it's it, sometimes you can the negativity comes because you bring it to you. You get what I'm saying? Like you start realizing all the negativity, certain negativity that you brought onto yourself, just you brought that shit onto yourself.
I think at the same time, the people who were abusing you made you feel that way. And I think that's
I'm
like
never
the
gonna say
biggest
I got
lesson.
abused. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
I bet you're not. But I say at the same time to grieve and to heal yourself. Or, no, I'm telling you. I'm convinced of this. So I'm not going to fold on this. Our anger comes from our lack of grief. But grieving creates a lot more. Can create grace.
And I stutter a lot when I come to this topic. I'm not gonna even for the viewers.
I
For the
don't think
viewers,
anyone's thinking about your
especially,
stuttering.
I stutter a lot when it comes to this topic because it's so dear to me. Because this is literally what I'm trying to help everyone with because I've literally been at the lowest of lows
But at the
when it
same time,
came to heart.
the only way that everyone, quote unquote, gets helped is if you do. I'm telling you. Your anger comes from your lack of grief, but it's because grief is so hard. You know what? You just have it harder. I'm
Nah,
not trying to.
nah, I don't though.
Hey, I'm not trying to compare. I'm saying between you and me, when it comes to what we have to grieve, you know how much harder it is to grieve a friend that you lost than it is to grieve a relationship between like a fucking mom. Okay, so I'm not comparing it right now, but you got to understand the only thing that we have to realize.
I'm pretty sure you had a friend that you lost before.
I have never lost a friend other than
Hmm.
I've lost someone to cancer. Sure, that was but it was my first person, and because I was so young, I didn't understand it and it didn't register. Bro, losing to someone
Yo, that
to
was crazy.
violence is so much fucking different. And you can't tell me it isn't. And you just have to understand it's harder to do that. And I'm not
Nah,
suggesting something that's easy.
but that's not. You feel me? When people say that, I feel like it gives people an excuse. Like
Well, it would give
almost.
only me an excuse, not you.
Nah, but like the people that might have lost someone to violence, like I might have. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse to be a fucking bum.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That you can't live off that.
But just like grief has so many different words attached, bum has so many words attached as well. Addiction is a huge fucking word of that, and bum is not one thing that you can call someone. And I understand what you mean and where you come from, but still, that anger has driven, like, it drives. And until you realize that it's actually grief and it's actually like how desperately sad that you feel about this situation that turns into anger, that turns into defense, that turns into you feeling like a dog in the fucking corner is like, I don't know, man. Like, you're gonna still keep being angry. And I don't think it's a fucking positive. I don't think it's something. I mean, okay, it can be a positive because we can be like chip on our shoulder, no, and we can be motivated. But to be angry towards who we love because of what's happened before.
And that's where I had to. Once I started doing that, is where I had to look at myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
especially with your girl. Yeah, I bet.
it was way before that.
Really?
It was way before that.
Damn.
I'm not gonna lie. The first time I sat here and really looked at my life and said, "Yo, I don't like what's happening," was when my friend Sebastian died. That was the first time in my whole life that I looked. I sat here and I looked at my life like, yo, yes, I could go. I could continue doing what I'm doing, and it will never end up the way I want it to.
But that depression is different. And all I'm saying is you having to grieve through that is different than me grieving about something I didn't get as a kid that I could now work towards with my parents. Bro, like my grief comes from like a bad relationship with my fucking parents, bro. I'm saying it's so different and you got to respect that. And you have to take extra time on that. And I'm sorry that it's hard. And that's like one of those things that I think depression comes with that no one will recognize because everyone wants to be special. Everyone wants to be the fucking like someone. But I'm sorry, there's people who have definitely hurt harder than us. We still got to face what we faced because we're
What
gonna
I'm saying,
bleed
bro,
on.
like you can never fucking let it kill you, bro.
Yeah,
You
and you
can never
haven't,
fucking do it, bro. Like
but you
whether
haven't.
it comes to let it kill you by drugs, whether it comes to let it kill you by fucking um motivation, whether it lets it kills you by fucking you don't want to fucking wake up in the morning and you can never let it do that to you, bro, because it will.
But
It will.
yeah, but
It
you know it's
will.
okay. You know it's okay that it does because
It's not though.
it
It's not
is.
okay because
It
at the
is.
end of the day, there's no one else in this world that's gonna make it happen if you don't.
Sure.
You have to make it happen for your life.
But you
If
can't make it
not, you're
happen.
always gonna be a shadow.
You can't make it happen without mourning, without grieving. You can't make it happen without taking that fucking time. And that's what
Yeah,
I'm
of
saying.
course, of
That
course,
anger is because of the
of course,
lack of
of
grief.
course. You're
Is
right.
because that need for grief. It all comes back because I think that that word alone could bring us to peace, grace, tranquility, to being able to look at people for how they are, even though we've been like that before. And I've seen that in you. You've given credit to people that you feel like you've been like before, but known that you got that change in you. And like that's special, especially because we're from two different places. And that's the compare and contrast that we should focus on the most is like that depression is like I'm definitely going through a different category of it and we can agree on the over arc of sadness.
My boy, nah. I'm not gonna lie. You're in life right now. You're probably going through it more than I am.
I think it goes back to grief. It goes back to healing techniques. It goes back to how much time you take. And the only thing that I'll be able to do when it comes to my own grief is leaving this space. That's how I'm able to actually get on with that.
Should we address that a little bit?
Yeah, man. Now I'm down as fuck because it feeds in my depression. This space that we see right now that we're in, I've been in for 2.5 years, 3 years almost. No, I guess 2 years. But I've shared this space with people, and I originally got this space with a person with 2 dogs, and those situations always ended in stuff that was not only confusing but added to like a vision of me, if that makes sense. So I'm pretty susceptible to agreeing with what people see in me. So if someone thinks I'm tight, I'll be like, yeah. But if someone thinks that I'm a dick, I'll also be like, yeah. Um, and so when you're in,
And that's what I'm trying to beat out of you, Wells. I'm not gonna lie. I told you that before too. I said sometimes you don't always have to. You don't always have to put out that helping hand.
yeah, and
You don't
so I
always
noticed that
have
that's
to
a
do that.
proof. There's
You
a
know what I'm
proof
saying?
that
That don't make you a bad person because you're trying to help yourself.
see, and that is what I realized in these last 6 months, 7, 8, whatever. This last year, I have learned that I had to grip my jaw real tight towards the people I decided to step away from because I didn't handle it right and I didn't fucking do it right, whatever. But I'm so happy right now. I don't give a fuck what's going on right now in my life. I am genuinely happy with the relationships I have, with the people I have, with the positions I'm putting myself in, and it is not on accordance of the jobs I'm getting, or the money I'm making, or the fucking I don't know, like social media presence that I have. Like it's genuinely off of like these relationships I'm creating, and I think this foundation's important. So in this home, with all that turmoil, I need to move on. And the only way that I actually take that step forward and I don't feel the weight and the depression is if me and my partner decide to find a new spot. So, like, the podcast will be moving. I don't know when.
We will be moving.
We will be moving, but we don't know when. We don't know how or where. And that's beautiful. And there's a lot of excitement in that. But there's also going to be a whole new energy and alertness and here-ness from me
But one
on
thing
my
I
side.
will promise: these plants,
Present.
these are our money plants right here.
Yeah.
I promise you right now, and every single fucking podcast that y'all see with us,
This is
these
written on
plants
whiteboard.
right here,
Yep.
they'll be here.
I'd like to say the money trees will stay. My
How long
bad.
we going for, Wells?
I say we're at a good time right now. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say when it comes to this topic, this compare and contrast? Because I
One
want to
thing-
talk
wha-
about a little bit of what's going on in like the MMA world after, but whatever else you want to say.
Nah, go ahead. I think we explained ourselves very well.
I think so too. I think that maybe like what else you got to say when it comes down
I
to
just
it?
want to come.
Because now obviously you believe in depression and like what are you doing to like counteract that? Because it's weird.
I try to be a good person every single day of my life.
What's that mean
And
to you?
sometimes I fuck up.
But what does that mean? What does good person mean to you?
Um, someone that stands by his word
Okay. Isn't that principle?
and just trusted the like. I don't know, bro. I try not to be who I was.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I was gonna challenge hard on that.
Challenge,
But
challenge,
I feel
challenge. I want to hear the challenge.
I think following your word is principle and discipline. Good or bad is so mundane and it is such a trap. We are here to learn and we are here to see those lessons prevail. That's it. We're here to like literally understand that the lessons that we fucking figured out before turned out right. Like
And just so the viewers know, we are drinking.
yeah. But I also mean this. And this is the
we
one
we
thing
mean this 100,000%.
regardless of the drinks,
Everything we're saying.
That was actually my biggest pet peeve with my parents is they'll text me and they'll be like, "If you're in the right mind, are you ready to talk?" I'm like, "Yo!"
Well, you know what's funny that you said that? Me and my brother was just at Mother's Day. We celebrated it Saturday.
Celebrate. Yeah.
So that Saturday
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
because my mom worked whatever, but we were celebrating it and fucking my what the fuck was the point of me saying
We're talking about depression. We're talking about.
that? This is definitely gonna be edited out right here.
I'm
But
not gonna think
no,
about it until.
there's a reason why I brought that up. What was you just saying?
No fucking idea. I don't know how to say this, but I don't remember either.
At that point, should we close this up?
No, we gotta remember this. We can cut this.
Yeah, we can cut this. We gotta remember. This is good. It was good.
Fuck me. You were celebrating your mom on Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, my brother.
Your brother.
It's coming back to me.